Hey, this is Tyler Mann. You're listening to the Dave and Creech Show.
This is the Dave and Creech Show, the only podcast where podcaster CJ Creech and actor Dave Sheridan come together to talk all things entertainment with your favorite entertainers. Want to ask our guests a question? Tweet them to @DaveSheridan or @CJCNOV88, and they may be asked to our guests live on the show. We do have to ask you stay seated during the podcast because this ride may get a little bit hilarious. Now here's your hosts, Dave and Creech.
What is up, America and the world? You are listening to the Dave and Creech podcast. It's episode 13. We've got a lot of stuff we are going to chat about. Creech and I just had a great weekend over at the Mad Monster Party convention in Charlotte. That was a lot of fun. Did you have a good time there, Creech?
I did. It was an amazing time. Definitely made some memories.
I couldn't hear you. What'd you say? Made some memories. That was fun. I didn't know when I booked it that it was Easter weekend, so that kind of made it tough, obviously, for me with my family. And you had your family, and your daughter was there. But I had a ball. I had a great time. Oh, I had a great time. You got to see the world famous Deadpool there, at least in character form,
Exactly.
Right?
Yes, my daughter got to put a gun to his head.
Oh, well, that's kind of interesting, I guess. That's a little creepy, but okay. However, we're going to talk this episode about Deadpool breaking yet again another record. Lots to chat about. Your whole movie theater experience, working at a movie theater, not being in the union as a projectionist. We've got Tyler Mann on the show. We're going to interview him because Creech caught up with him. We're going to be chatting about the second to the last final episode of Walking Dead. I'm excited to finally get to the final because I think this is just one of those typical Walking Dead seasons, like the last two, I would say, where they really fall into that kind of lull for the last couple episodes before the final, and they almost it's getting a little predictable to be like that. So we will chat about some of those aspects with Alyssa this episode. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Creech?
No, I think you've pretty much covered everything, and that we should just go ahead and get right into this week's episode. One of the things that made the news this week, it was actually Deadpool, as it broke another record. Shocker there.
What was the record?
It's actually now the highest grossing R-rated film worldwide. It actually
What was number one before?
Number one before was The Matrix Reloaded.
Okay,
so
wait a second.
That was back in 2003.
Reloaded was the number one R comedy? I thought you said R comedy.
No, R film, rated R film.
R film. So The Matrix Reloaded was a rated R movie.
Yes.
I don't know what was rated R about The Matrix Reloaded. Maybe there was some.
I think just the violence, because I don't remember much cursing, and that was when the Wachowski brothers were still the Wachowski brothers. I think they're the Wachowski sisters now.
Who knows what the heck they are? I just know they can't use a bathroom in North Carolina. So the good news is I probably will never run into them and have to have an interview about what's going on. Because no, actually, I will run into them because I think the law in North Carolina is because they were born men, they need to use the men's bathroom. Even if you have a full operation and at that point you're a female. I have no idea. I mean, bottom line is this: if we're going to have this big stink about bathrooms and all the movies wants to pull their production out of North Carolina or whatever it is, the NCAA basketball doesn't want to have championships because transvestite can't use a certain bathroom. I think, why don't we just make all the bathrooms just unisex, or just have some private bathrooms, not make it any sex, but have each individual one private, meaning you got a bathroom, go through those stalls and put locking doors in each stall, just like they have if you go to the public bathrooms in the beach. Each each beach bathroom is its own little like shut the door. You ever seen those kind of things? They're just giant doors, and they're full length doors. It's not that stall thing where Fonzie can call crawling under, or Richie Cunningham or whoever used to play the pranks. What was that one guy's name? Ralph Mouth or whatever. It's not like that kind of office space thing where they're like cubicles where the guy can peek over or peek under. This make them full on bathrooms, each individual thing. You walk in, you lock the door, you do your business in there, and then that's it. You know what I'm saying? That way we don't have to have a male or female bathroom. It's just, hey, each room is a private room. It says occupied. Just like, where they do that? On airplanes, right? There's 3 bathrooms on the airplane, and anyone can use them. And they shut the door, and you lock it, and it says occupied. And that way there is no boys' room, men's room, girls' room, hairy anything room. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And there you go. Okay, there's our we've had our we need to have a little, dude, you need to work on some like American themed music and my name and stuff like that. And like every time we go on a little thing like that, we should have a little, you should do up a little thing with a deep voice being like, this is a political moment, or I'm Dave Sheridan and I approve this message. Something like that. What do you think?
Just put America, fuck yeah, from Team America.
America, fuck yeah, right. And then just go, paid for by the people that want to, that think America is fucking awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then like, I'm Dave Sheridan and I approve this message. I think. Maybe we always have a question mark at it. I think. Edit all that together. I would love to hear that. I will actually listen to the podcast if you tell me you went and did that.
Oh, okay. Just for that one thing. Nice.
Speaking of the news, that it was the number one, that your Deadpool was number one R-rated thing. It passed to Wachowski, whatever their names is. What other movies have you seen more than 6 times? And I'm not talking about movies on DVD. No. I'm just talking movie theaters, though. So if you're saying it's so many in movie theater, you might need some help.
You have to remember that I also worked at a theater.
Okay.
I worked at a theater, so I would see a lot of movies a lot of times because as a projectionist, I mean, it was a joke of a job. You basically, all I did was I built up the movies, broke down the movies, and then watched the movies in between starting and stopping them. So I've seen. Why did you leave?
Why did you stop? Why did you stop doing that? Don't projectionists make like $35 an hour or something crazy?
When I left, I was making, I want to say $8.25, maybe $8.10.
What happened to the $35 an hour? I thought they were like, we make 30. There's a union. There's like the projectionist union or something, and they make like all sorts of crazy money.
If that is such a thing, it's definitely not in South Carolina.
So you didn't have to join the union?
No.
Hold on, I got to Google this then. I'm pretty sure there's a projectionist union. I think they make like $25, $30 an hour. Projectionist Union Los Angeles, Projectionist Union New York City, Projectionist Union, this has got to be. Let's see, let's just go right to the Projectionist Union Los Angeles. IATSE Local 77. All right. ArcLight Projectionist Dispute. All right. Then there's a list of IATSE's local Hollywood jobs fade to black, film projectionist. I found here's a stable union job, and I was told by my older peers that I could. Let's see this one. Okay. Happy ending in fading for union. Happy ending is fading for union projectionists. How are you not in the union, dude? What the heck's going on?
I'm just going to make a guess here because I don't know South Carolina state
something.
Law like that. But no, most jobs in South Carolina, at least the ones that I had worked for, there hasn't been a union. For instance, even though I didn't work for them, it's in the news a lot down here. When Boeing came down, there's no union with Boeing down here in South Carolina, which is why they built down here. So I don't think there's any really kind of main unions down here. I mean, there is for like the shipyards and stuff like that, but yeah, there's no There's no like unions for most jobs down here. And I had heard one person mention when I worked at the theater that something about a union. It wasn't just like a projectionist union. They were just saying they should be unionized. However, they were fired very quickly because most places, South Carolina is a right-to-work state. So if they hear anything about a union, their first thing is they're just going to fire you. Because if you don't want to, you want to try to do all that and make them jump through hoops and everything, they'll just fire you and pay somebody who won't mind minimum wage.
Mm-hmm. I still intend to be the last projectionist live, but it will be a real accident if I get any more jobs. This guy doesn't say how much he was getting paid. I mean, this was like 40 years ago. He was getting paid $3.50 an hour, but that was 40 years ago. I taught myself. I found stable union job and was told by my older peers that I could probably keep this job forever. I would never have to retire because it didn't require physical labor. I just required you to know how to run the equipment. Everybody in America went to the movies every week, so we were important. Also, projectionists was listed as the highest paid industry job in California. I'd like to remind people that now that they're trying to pay us nothing. So, I mean, it sounds to me like you were just getting, and how long did you work there?
Like half a decade, 5 years.
Half a decade. Creech works half a decade. I love 5 years is half a decade. I like saying that much longer. Man, there's things that I've written a script for longer than half a decade. But I could say, man, I've been working on this half a decade.
Yeah, I started in 2007, and then I left in 2011.
Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to go back to projection.
But yeah, no, I mean, I felt like I deserved way more than I did. You know, I mean, because
wait a second. Hold on. I object, Your Honor. You just said it was the easiest job in the world. You got to watch it, and you watched movies. And
yeah,
now all of a sudden you change the story.
No.
They, you know, okay, go ahead.
No, just because, I mean, obviously, even though I didn't actually do a lot, but my work was very important to the running because they weren't coming for the popcorn. And you had to, sometimes, I mean, this was, now the theater's completely different. It's all digital, but there was, I guess the best word to describe it was some sort of fuckery going on with some of the screenings because, you know, we had 8 theaters, and in order to screen, if they didn't send us multiple prints of a big movie, we had to thread up or, you know, basically lead one film through multiple projectors. And you had to run like the film along the side of the wall and through rollers and very frightening stuff. And you know, if you missplice a film when you're putting it together, of course, it can go out of frame, and then that's really bad. If you don't watch the actual film, then it can wind up brain wrapping, which is when the film wraps up really tight, where it's feeding from, and just it'll cause the actual projector head to lock up and just tear the film up where you see you know, where the film's burning and everything because it's not moving and the light's just burning a hole straight through it. I've had that happen to me. It's there was a lot of mechanics involved with it, and we had to change the projector bulbs, which was probably one of the most frightening things I've ever done in my life, since they're, you know, if you even so much as just touched it once with your hand with the grease from your hand, it could cause the bulb to blow up. And you had to wear like riot gear to change it. And most of the riot gear didn't fit me because I was fat then. So there's that. I mean, it was a lot. Plus, you know, we had to move prints. I dropped Avatar on the floor, for instance. And that's a 3-hour-long movie, and it took about 6 hours to put it back together and get it off the floor. Everything had to be perfect or you'd mess up the film. So, I mean, there was a lot of care and fine-tuning in that. Yeah, I'd be really busy for like 30 minutes, and then I'd have 2 hours of downtime for the most part. but I still felt like I deserved more than what I got.
Well, yeah.
But I
First of
guess
all,
that's really everybody. Huh?
Yeah, sure. I can imagine that there's most of America always feels like they should deserve more than what they got. But I know that you weren't getting what you were paid because the union, there is a union, there's a projectionist union. Let me read this right here. This is the Wilshire Screening Room is the highest ranked and most popular screening in the country. It is the only privately held screening room in Los Angeles area that is a union signatory, with current projectionist wages at $43.68 per hour. Okay. That has Christie 4K, 3D, HFR, DLP projector, Dolby, blah, blah, blah. We feature. Okay. So the bottom line is this is, the lowest wage that I pay is for filling paperwork and cleaning carpets, and that is $16.80 per hour. All right. So anyway, that's somebody taking care of like the carpet and all that stuff in the theater is get 16 something an hour, but the projectionists are getting $43.68 an hour in Los Angeles, and you were getting, what'd you say, $8 and something?
At the end, this is like at the very end. I started out at $5.25.
Oh my God. And the thing is this is I understand making something like that if you're not dealing with film, but you were actually dealing with film. You were actually putting film in or on a projection. You were putting it like the canister thing, and yet did you have to feed film in any way, or does it just click in?
Oh no. Well, what would happen is we would get in a film canister that usually most movies are about 8 reels, 6 to 8 reels. We'd get in 8 individual reels. We'd get in a pack of 5 or 6 trailers, and then I had to manually put together all the trailers, then every reel together, and then
okay,
thread it through.
You got abused. What? Go ahead and call them out. You're not gonna do. What company was this? AMC? Was this? What was the name of the film company that put this stuff out that made you do this?
Oh, I don't even care about calling them out. Yeah, no, this was
Well, what
Cinemark.
was it?
This was Cinemark.
Cinemark. I know Regal and I know AMC. I don't even know if I know Cinemark. Are they even around anymore?
They are. They still operate to today. They're actually number 3 in the world chains, and they're actually out of Plano, Texas.
Okay. Oh, okay. Cinemark. So they think they're actually part owners of the Alamo Draft House or something like that, right? I think they're part of the Alamo.
I know they actually do own. They own Century Theaters, CineArts, Tinseltown, and Rave Cinemas.
Oh, they own the raves. Okay, so they own a lot. Here's the deal. I want you to go with the recording thing, talk to the manager and saying, why wasn't I part of the union? And I want you to talk to those projectionists and see why aren't they in the union? And we need to unionize, man. We need to get the union out there. And you know what's so funny is all today I hate unions. I do. I was like thinking, how would I crush the unions if I was like, if Doofy ran for president, I would try to end the unions, but I would also try to end corporations. But at the same time, nothing gets my goat more than the guy that didn't even know there was a union. How did you not know that there was a projectionist union?
Well,
how did they keep that from you?
Well, they wouldn't have dealt with it anyway. But I mean, the managers that I had when I was there,
you could have walked out and you could have got a union rep to come down, and you guys could have striked, and they would have let you in the union. Go ahead. The manager what?
Oh, the managers aren't there that I worked with anymore. As a matter of fact,
it's even funnier then.
Yeah,
because you'll go there and they'll be like, "What the fuck? Who are you?"
My last manager there was probably one of the most frustrating people I've ever met in my life. He was one of those people that will, basically, you'll do all the work, and when it's good, when corporate notices, oh, it's definitely because of him. But yet when everything goes bad, even if he is the one that is in fact making it go bad, it's never his fault. As a matter of fact, one of the things they tried to pin on me when I left, and yes, pin on me, this is a fun story. Basically one day, since I was also a manager near the end of my time, one of the things that as a manager we had to do is we had to count down money the night before. Luckily, the night before, when this event happened, I didn't count down money because I had to break down movies that were leaving. But our general manager actually counted down the money and said the safe was even. The money in there was completely even. I come in opening the next morning, and suddenly, magically, a good $3,000 is gone. We double and triple counted the money, and we called him, and he was like, well, it was even last night when I counted it. So he's like, well, I'm coming in right now. 4 hours later, he still hasn't came in. He didn't come in for another 2 after that. He came in right as I was getting ready to leave with a brand new car, and proceeded to try to blame, when I left, said that I tried to steal that money. And yet, here it is. He had a new car and everything. Oh, that guy was very frustrating. And he liked to bring kids into his office. I'm pretty sure he stole the money.
Were you a kid? Were you a kid at that point?
No. At this point, he would invite tweens up to his office, and he'd close the door, and then
of course he would close the door.
And then 10, 15 minutes later, they would come out with T-shirts, film promotional T-shirts or posters, and some of the employees actually got weirded out by it themselves, so they actually filed they called him a pedophile and sent an anonymous tip to the corporate headquarters, so he got investigated for that. Shortly after that, he did get removed from his seat of power, but still, I thought that was pretty hilarious.
Oh, the seat of power. Of course. I'm sure when he first sat in that seat in that manager's office at Cinemark, that man, what was his name? You don't have to give his full name, just give his first name.
His first name was Lance.
Was it really Lance?
It was Lance.
Lance is a creepy pedophile kind of name. I know how you fell in love with the other word, which we'll cut out, but
when he would
Lance,
he had this voice too. And he would always come on the walkie.
Like?
If I will do an impression, but whenever he would come on the walkie, he would always address you first, asking, "Can you hear him?" So he'd be like, "Mr. Creech, can you hear me?" And he always had this fake, jovial, I guess aura about him. He would, it didn't matter who he would call me. Miss Compton, can you hear me? Mr. Yeager, can you hear me? He would do that, and we actually would get on the walkies when he came in. If somebody saw him, and we'd be like, "Crab apple." That was our code word to know that he is actually here for the day, and everybody would know that we would try to avoid him for the rest of the day.
Nice. Wow. Well, you need to, when you write your movies or a movie, I would keep that character. Now you know where I get my characters from. That seems like a pretty good character. The overzealous. Why are these sort of mid-level managers always like that? You know what I mean? I know it's cliche to represent them like that in movies, but everyone's had these jobs, or a lot of people have had these jobs at this level and had bosses at that level, which are all like that. You know what I mean? It's like they almost already feel like they've overachieved or something, and they just they're sort of overzealous, or
they get that first taste of power, and then they
get that first taste of power. They're the kind of people that were stage managers, or sports managers in high school, like a team manager or a stage manager with a clipboard. They just like clipboards. They're the same kind of people that love clipboards, and they love to get a string or a chain or something and tape a pen to the clipboard. So because they got their pen, they got their clipboard, and whatever else goes on there, and they're not going to lose any of that. That's power. That's the seat of power that you mentioned. And it's the kind of leathery seat that's a little worn out, and it kind of makes a noise back and forth, but it's got the wheels on it, but it's still got the arms. It's a nice seat of power. it's that leather seat with the arms on it. You know what I mean? Still behind a desk, but it's almost like a lazy boy, except it doesn't really. It swivels and goes back and forth, but it kind of reclines a little bit, but it's not a full recliner. That's the seat of power. That's what they like.
Yeah, I mean, I had two different. I actually I was there for 5 years, so I went through about 3 different general managers in my time there. But the very first one had really big sausage fingers, like the huge sausage links that you get like in your Jimmy Dean bowl.
That's creepy. Did he give like girls massages then? That seems like the kind of guy that would like, if he doesn't know how weird.
When he would try to shake
he digging into the popcorn? Okay.
When he would try to shake your hand, like his fingers would like envelope your entire hand. It was just really weird. But like more so on top of that, like I said, with the anger issues,
probably had a huge dick, dude. He probably had a huge dick. He probably did. I mean,
he threw like a table or tables and chairs at like employees. I had seen it multiple times.
You're talking about you worked at a movie theater, right?
Yes.
So like, where was he getting all these tables and chairs?
Well,
was he
in the break room or in the box office. I'm just gonna say, like in the 6 year or 5 years. Sorry, I almost added a year there. In the 5 years I worked at that theater, I have more stories.
Half a decade. Let's get it right. It was half a decade.
Half a decade. More stories of crazy shit that went on there than I have at any job or anywhere I've ever worked. Like
I'm going on building my home for 2 years.
From cocaine and drugs to just all sorts of acts of violence and people getting shot. Just craziness. I mean, that's really...
Yeah, a movie theater is not an easy place to work at. You're going to see a lot of stuff, right? You see a lot of people hanging out afterwards, hanging out before, people trying to sneak in, things happening in the movie theater like you're talking about, sexual acts, throwing up, somebody getting sick, kids that are drunk, whatever it is. It's a crazy... It's not... Yeah, for sure, dude. You need to write. I would, you should write a movie. You need just to figure out. I mean, we've all seen that kind of guy works in a movie theater thing with crazy stories, but there may be a way. I don't know what your hook is yet. You know what I'm saying? And it's probably more of a TV show, like an ongoing thing.
Yeah, it'd probably be more like The Office, but just raunchier.
Right, exactly.
Because
I mean, call it rated R or something like that, and it's because it's you got your film idea in there already.
We played the waiting game. That was actually a thing that happened for a while.
What's that?
Have you ever seen the movie Waiting?
Oh yeah, with the testicles.
Yeah, that game. Like that game was actually played at a theater.
Oh, it was like testicle origami or something like that?
No, where like basically the whole gist of the game was you had to get other people, i.e. the other male employees usually, to look at your testicles, and then you would then be able to chastise them. And
it's funny.
Yeah, and
It's true. It's actually true though.
And
I mean,
there was some.
It's not really a game. It is true. If you look down at the guys, if a guy has his testicles out and you look down, you deserve to be kicked in the butt. It's obvious. It's just a matter of fact.
But see, like, people would get really crazy with it. Like, the booth or the projection area was obviously upstairs, so there was a hallway that would actually lead up with just the stairs. So, and there was railings on both sides. So some of the more agile guys would climb up and, go split-legged over the rails and have their nuts hanging out. So then, obviously, when you go to look up, when you start to climb, you get an eyeful of balls.
Yeah. So you're saying that wasn't you, because I don't think you're the guy that's like splitting between the thing. So you know.
No, my thing, which actually wound up backfiring on me, which is the reason why we stopped playing that.
It's the reason why you're not even working there, right? Certainly none of this would happen if you were in the union, and I'm going to tell you that right now, Creech. None of this would go with IATSE Local 33. No way.
I would call, like, I would call some of the males that were playing the game. I'd be like, "Hey, I need you to come upstairs and get some candy for downstairs or whatever." So like I would go into the actual candy room and actually wait there and take my time to prepare the different things like the goat or the bat wing, the different things that they explained in the movie. So I'd be waiting there, and usually a guy would, I had to turn the light off, so he would turn the light on and then just get a face full of balls. However, I don't know if he was just lazy or he thought something was coming. He wound up sending one of the female employees up to there, and so yeah, she got the bat wing, which horrified her. She thankfully didn't report it because that would have been definitely sexual harassment because it was definitely unwarranted. However, the game ended and nobody played it after that. So I kind of messed up.
Well, let me ask you a question. Was Batman or any version of Batman or a DC superhero at all playing in the movie theater at the time?
No.
Then it was unwarranted. Okay, no, you're right. I rest my case. Unwarranted.
Yes,
you're right. I thought I could get you off if you would have said,
technically,
Batman,
this was 2007.
The Dark Knight was playing, and so then I could say it was a promotional thing, and it was warranted.
Yeah, it was 2007, so Dark Knight came out the year after. So maybe I was just a little overzealous and excitement for the
overzealous. I like that. You're at Zales.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I was just a little too excited for the premiere of that movie and just got in on the action a little bit early. But also, there was cocaine sold out of our box office, so there was that.
Just the box office, not the candy counter?
No, just the box office. And
no snow caps? No snow caps?
The guy tried to get one of the other employees to watch his cocaine for him while he used the bathroom. And she immediately told another manager, who then in turn called the cops. And by the time he got back from his bathroom break, which took really long, the cops were waiting for him and arrested him.
What a dumbass. Why? How much cocaine did he possibly have that he couldn't just take it with him to the bathroom in his pocket?
He had a couple of 8-balls, apparently.
I think you can fit those in your pocket. I think you can fit it. I don't know what an 8-ball is, but I'm pretty sure it's something that you can generally fit in your pocket. So a couple of them. I mean, it's I don't know. I'll have to look up an 8-ball, but it's not. I don't think there's a backpacks. They're not kilos. All right. So is there anything else we want to cover? Talk to me through what are we going to do for the interview this week?
Well,
somebody we got already in the can.
I mean, we have a lot of people. We have a lot of people in the can. This week, I think we are going to do Tyler Mane.
Okay, great. Love Tyler Mane. I've had some good times with Tyler Mane out and about. And obviously, we did the Devil's Rejects together. First time I met him. And you'll have a good chat with him, too, because of his professional wrestling career and stuff. I'm sure you covered some of that.
I actually didn't talk to him about his wrestling career. However, I do remember him from WCW. So I did know about his wrestling career for sure.
Well, so what's some of the stuff you talked about?
Just, who would win in a fight between Michael Myers and Sabretooth, who were two characters that he played. Time on Devil's Rejects, and what he's been doing since the Devil's Rejects. And he's actually now got his own production company.
Okay, cool. I'd love to hear from Tyler.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dave and Creech Show. I am here with the very awesome and very tall Tyler Mane. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. How you doing, man?
I am doing great. Obviously, you've had a varied career. You played everything from Sabretooth and X-Men to Michael Myers and Halloween 1 and 2. You're still doing plenty of movies a day. What's your newest film that's coming out?
Well, I started my own production company, and first picture is Compound Fracture that we ended up doing, and it's out, and we're getting ready to produce our second one, which is called Penance Lane. We're going to be doing it here in Georgia in about the next couple of months.
Awesome. And one question, I don't know if you've been asked this before, but I've always wondered, if there was ever a fight between Sabretooth and Michael Myers, who do you think would win that?
Well, I think I'd win because I'd just be kicking the shit out of myself either way, right?
Very true. Now, Rob Zombie's been known to have a very frenetic set. I know I talked to Dave and a couple of other people who've starred in this film say, do you get an honest day's work in there? Now, is there any time for fun behind the camera?
Hey, man, my motto is if I'm not having fun, I don't want to be there. So I just enjoy what I'm doing. I'm very lucky, very blessed to be able to work with the people I've worked with. And I like to have fun doing it, and it's all what you make it. Yeah, long hours, hard work, but you got to have fun doing it. Otherwise, why bother, right?
Exactly. Now, speaking of having fun on the set, what has been, in all of the films you've done, what's some of the most fun you've had on any film set?
Oh, I mean, by far, Compound Fracture, the one that I produced and starred and that I wrote with my wife, we had just a blast. I mean, we woke up every morning after only a couple hours sleep, and we're making a movie, It's just to have that full creativity. As an actor, you go on set and you put your best foot forward, and then whatever happens with it. But when you're in control of the whole project, it's your baby, and it was just amazing doing that.
So are you looking to get more into doing behind the scenes as well as starring now with Main Entertainment? Or are you looking to start doing more and more films behind, like directing and all that? Or are you just going to still produce and stuff like that?
Eventually, producing's a pretty tough gig, It's not for the faint of heart. But I eventually want to direct and everything, but just taking baby steps with it and seeing what happens.
All right. And lastly, if anybody out there that hasn't already followed you yet, what are your official channels where they can check out all of your stuff at?
TylerMain.com, Tyler Main on Facebook, Twitter, Main Entertain on Facebook and Twitter. Just check it out.
All right. Well, thank you, sir.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right.
It's all connected. You show up, and now 3 of us are gone.
Why'd you bring us here? This is the thing that the whole county.
This episode, I feel like overall, I guess it achieved what it did. I must say, I really think they didn't. It's like they wanted to go for it, but then they didn't want people to not watch the finale. Because is it just me, or does it seem like the logical ending would have been Daryl getting shot, and it just ending right there? But they had to throw in Dwight saying, "You'll be all right." Did they really think if they just ended it with Daryl getting shot that would be it? Like a lot of fans wouldn't tune into the finale.
Right. Well, that's a very probably legitimate concern. I think that would probably piss off a lot of people, but, isn't that what the show is about? I think there'd still be a ton of viewers. You'd still have the loyal fans that are like, hell yeah, they weren't fucking afraid to do that. They just killed him and didn't give a shit, So I would love it if they took, had the balls to do that to a character of his caliber, like where people have put him. It'd be like, it really would live up to the anybody is in danger.
Yeah, it's very weird because it definitely feels like the team is safe, so to speak. At least the Atlanta 5 are safe.
Mm-hmm.
Because, anything, no matter what happens to them, they just keep plugging along.
Right.
Carol once again becomes Rambette. Which I have to admit, made me roll my eyes when she had the machine gun under her jacket.
Was that too much for you? Like, oh, really?
How could you do that? In my opinion, and that was almost, I guess the best way to say it is grindhouse in proportion. Like, I would expect something like that to happen, like, on Planet Terror. Like, it's just so Quentin Tarantino, over-the-top action movie-ish that it just made me kind of roll my eyes, because it definitely, I mean, Carol's done some death-defying and highly improbable, you know, feats before, like blowing up Terminus with a firework. But still, I mean, that one was cringeworthy.
They were clearly just trying to have fun and include this really cool moment, you know, where the audience would be like, yes, go Carol, you know, root for her again. Because I think some people are like, think she's slipping, and some people are kind of, you know, being very judgmental of that. You know, I've seen some reaction like that, and it's like, I don't blame her. She, you know, she's went through a lot, and this is her breaking point, so I understand it in the story. But yeah, so I think this was that was their moment for people to be like, yes, Carol. And I was like, isn't that like a fairly big gun that she would have to have in her coat?
Yeah, even if it wasn't a big gun, I would imagine it would at least be, you could tell that there was a gun underneath there, because, you know, they would have the long part and the handle, and at some point something would stick out, or she'd look like, you know, her something
like a robot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, when I watched that again after I heard, you know, them talk about that stunt that they did with it, it was like, yeah, you know, she's raising her arms, she's bending her arms. I'm like, I don't think she'd be able to bend her arms if she had that kind of gun in there, but I don't know too much about guns, so I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah, not to mention, after firing it would get hot, and yet she didn't, like, drop it or anything. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And she did, I'm surprised that with how thorough she usually is, which I guess she's a little unstable right now anyway, but that she left, I would have thought she would have checked every one of those dudes and, like, made sure they were dead. But I understand she's a little irrational right now. She feels like she's just lost, so I get that. But, whoa, man, I don't know. Oh, and can I mention, the guy or the person that we saw Rick and Morgan come across at that barn, I thought that was like a little nod to, it didn't click till a little bit after, but is that a nod to like Ezekiel and the kingdom? Because I feel like...
So. I mean, the armor is very close to what they wear, for sure.
Yeah, because I remember I said I'm reading the comments, so I'm kind of in that part where they, you know, go to the kingdom. And so I thought, that's instantly what I thought of, like, wow, sweet. So I thought that was kind of cool that they just threw that in there, like a little sneak peek of somebody that we're going to come across next season. So
also moments that made me roll my eyes, Rick and Morgan. And it's only because it seems like they're going the same, like with Morgan and Carol, where eventually it affected Carol. It seems like Morgan's doing the same thing with Rick now, and they're kind of rehashing that plot line to make Rick second guess after originally trying to kill dude as he was running away. I don't know. I really hope they don't. Obviously, they've given it an out where, I mean, Morgan has said, if I don't come back, don't find me. And we don't know if he will come back, period, at this point, as anything can happen.
Right. We have so many people outside the walls now, so, you know, like, I don't know, it could be so many people are in danger.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, of the badass force that could be. Yeah, there's really all the best people are actually out. And in the preview that they showed, they revealed that Aaron also goes out, and Eugene goes out, and Sasha. So that's even more people that are going to be out. Like,
right, and I'm always surprised at Rick's ability to leave his children so easily, especially his baby. Like, I don't think I'd be able to do that. I mean, I know he's like the leader and he's got to, you know, go, but he doesn't have to leave every time, and he's always so willing to be like, all right, peace out. I may die out there, So, love you, kids. See you, maybe. I'm just, always surprised at that. They never really touch on that. He's just always out. And where are the children?
Yeah, exactly.
And with all this
really
coming up, they are going to have to address Judith at some point. They've put her in the background and they've shown her so that we're aware that she's around. But they're going to have to do something at some point because, and I think they're kind of nervous about that too, about how to approach that. I think it's one of those questions with how do we kill off a freaking baby, but he did it in the comics. There's ways to do it. Game of Thrones, they had a part where they were offering babies up as a sacrifice or so, an offering or something, so it can happen.
Yeah, my question that I raised with this is actually just they're already having enough baby on the show. So part of me thinks Maggie's not going to actually give birth to a baby. It seemed like, from what she was going through this episode, it seemed a little more painful than she was going through. And in the end, when you think about it, that's 2 more babies, or Judith and they have enough problems addressing storyline to get rid of Judith for every other episode. So I just feel like it's not going through this process.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, when she started going through all those pains, that's what I thought. Are they going to change this and she's going to end up losing the baby? And, this is what will propel Maggie's, storyline with wanting to be stronger. She cuts her hair. I don't want anything to get in my way anymore. And, she's building this armor around herself, and that would really devastate her. And then if anything happens to Glenn, I don't know who it's going to be at the end. So that would really drive her storyline. So I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting because, then again, if they use the baby's death as a reason to catapult Maggie into, becoming more sure of herself and everything, and continuing in that leadership role, then that also takes away another reason of why to kill Glenn, because then he was that in the comics, that reason for her. But if the baby doesn't live and that becomes a reason, then there goes one of the reasons to kill Glenn in the show.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities, a lot of scenarios that I've pondered all through this season. So I hope I get some kind of resolution next week. Hopefully.
Not to mention your picks from a long time ago. I think all of your picks have died that you said that was going to die, except for one. So you have one more episode to get that one right.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I don't even remember what they were. I'd have to go back.
I remember one with Deanna.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the other one you had picked was Jesse. I'm not 100% sure. It was either Jesse or Maggie.
It was probably Jesse.
And then the last one you picked was Father Gabriel.
Oh, yeah. See, but now I'm kind of not so mad at him. He's kind of redeeming himself. I'm I'm kind of Team Gabriel. I never thought I'd say it, but yeah.
Yeah, well, people can change.
Yeah.
Even creatures who try to stab our gang in the back.
Hey, yeah, it's true. People have done crazier shit in this world. You know, I could forgive somebody for that. Like, oh, okay.
Exactly. Also, what else? What else happened? I'm trying to recall what happened on this episode.
Well, there was more of the Abraham and Sasha and Rosita storyline. So that's kind of an awkward love triangle. Interesting.
That, yeah. Yeah, it seems like...
I don't know, Rosita, I'm not really digging Rosita. I mean, I know she, like, in the comics, she was kind of feisty, but, like, we saw another side of her where she was also emotional. Like, she was very emotional with Eugene, especially in the comics, about the break, you know, Abraham breaking up with her. And I feel like she's kind of just really bitchy. Like, the whole time they were with Denise, she was just kind of like, I felt like she was very condescending. And she's always got that demeanor about her. I don't know if it's like the face she's putting on because of what happened with Abraham. But, you know, because before that, how much did we really see of her? Like, actually get to know Rosita. You know, she's always just kind of been there. So all I went off of was her scene with Spencer, her snapping on Eugene before, and now all this. I don't know. I don't know about her character. I'm holding hope that they, you know, will give her more screen time and really show her arc, because they've really not used her very well so far, I think.
Maybe she'll die.
Oh, man. I mean, I would be upset. It would be sad, but I guess I wouldn't be devastated.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess you could say they've kind of butchered her thing.
There's just so many characters, though. I can see how it's hard to, like, give every one of those characters an arc right away. Like, you know, I understand some other characters are going to have their moment. Like, Eugene's just now getting his moment. You know, he's stepping up, and he's figure out the thing with the ammunition. And, like, so he's going to become, if he can get that done, he's going to become very important to the group. So I'm hoping maybe next season, if she survives this finale, that maybe they'll kind of give her moment. Because I think she could be a good, strong, I mean, not that we have plenty of strong female characters on the show, but, you know, she could be a force to be reckoned with. You know, she's out there when they're going, and seems like she's got, you know, riding with Abraham, she's gotten some kind of training with guns. So, I mean, she is a strong point in the group, so hopefully she can get her time to shine.
Well, all right. Is there anything else you'd like to chat about?
No, I think that's it.
All right, guys. Well, that is going to wrap it up for yet another edition of Dave and Creech Show. I think it's been a great
Wait
time.
a second. Is it? No. Is it an edition or an episode? I figured like an edition would be, you know, something in print or something like that. Would this be an episode of a podcast? There's editions of podcasts. What edition was that?
This is the New Age edition of the Dave and Creech Show.
Okay. All right, it's an edition, I guess. Well, I didn't know that. All right.
Whatever it is, it's been a wonderful time chatting and reliving my scarred history working at the theaters. Gonna have nightmares about it tonight.
Yeah, they were great. I love Lance. Lance is a great character. I'm gonna have dreams about him myself. Wonder what he's doing today. So the bottom line was on that the guy. You think he stole the money and bought a new car? And what was the new car? A Corvette?
It was a sports car, but it wasn't one of those really fancy sports cars. It was like.
So, you remember what it was?
Like a crappy. It looked like a Miata.
Was it a Sunfire?
It looked like a Miata, but it
Sunfire?
wasn't one of those.
A Solstice. Was it a Saturn Solstice or a Pontiac Solstice? That kind of looks like a Miata. Maybe a Sunfire.
It was something, and it had a convertible top, and it was ugly puke green.
Oh, it could have been an MR2, Toyota MR2.
It was not.
Could have just been a Miata, and you just thought a Miata looked like a Miata.
Could have been.
Right? I don't know.
Either way, it was
That's
a very
something-
fugly car.
I just in general, a guy like Lance being in a little tiny 2-seater, convertible, that's pretty funny. Was he wearing gloves? Did he wear those gloves? Did he wear those little like driving gloves when he got in?
No, he didn't. He didn't wear any sort of driving gloves or with the fingertips cut off or anything like that.
When he pulled away, if you ever saw him out in the parking lot, top was down. Was there a certain song or type of music that he played loud in the car? Or was he like an NPR listener or something?
He actually did listen to a lot of NPR, and he also loved wrestling.
All right. Whoa, now this changes everything. Your guy, the sort of this guy was a jerk. This is Lance. He's driving the Miata. He's your boss. He's throwing chairs. He's accusing you of stealing money. But he's also a fan of wrestling, which is what I'm a fan of. So did you guys ever chat wrestling together? Did you ever go to a wrestling thing?
No, I would never. And he also loves horror movies. And actually, he's probably a fan of yours because he loved the Scary Movie series. So,
dang, you know what? He might be listening to this podcast.
He could very well. And if we
Lance, here's the deal, Lance. If you're listening to this podcast, Lance, you know who you are. If you're listening, since you're a fan of some of those things that we chat about on this podcast, you're probably listening. You might be listening. Someday you might listen. Contact us. Hit us up on Twitter or DM us or send us something, a little notification on Facebook, whatever it is. We'd love to get you on the show and kind of work things out between you and Creech. The fact that he was abused, not allowed, not even informed that there was a projectionist union he could join. I think there's a class action lawsuit, Creech. I do think you can go back for some lost wages, and you can talk to the union and tell them you were not informed there was a union, because I think that's probably illegal not to tell you that there is an option to join a union.
Oh, well, I would like to never speak with Lance ever again, but sure.
Lance, reach out to us. We'd love to chat with you.
Yes, I guess we can end it on that then.
All right. Next episode, it looks like we're going to have a
David Creech with Lance.
Creech, can you hear me? Creech, can you hear me? What was it called? Bungleberry? What did you say when he got in the thing? Dingleberry?
Crabapple.
Dingleberry. Crabapple. You guys are geniuses.
Shut up and sit down.
Thank you for listening to The Dave and Creech Show. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of Dave and CJ. These views and opinions do not necessarily represent those of Creech Creative Productions or any of its affiliates.